So, welcome back to episode 4 of this running podcast. Thanks for joining. Hopefully, you've enjoyed the first few episodes and covered a few topics when it comes to your running training. So, today we're going to be talking about strength for runners and strength for endurance athletes. Something that I am really passionate about speaking to people about, and something that I really think is something that should be a cornerstone of all well-rounded athletes' training routines. So this is something that's often overlooked by most runners and endurance athletes, and it's often something that people look to add in when it's too late. So this especially happens when people get injured, and they always think, what's something that I could be doing? Have I been, following my plan correctly? Yes. Have I been doing my nutrition correctly? Yes. Have I been doing my strength? Most oftentimes we find that they haven't, and it's something that gets skipped. Strength training is just massively beneficial in terms of injury prevention. We're able to look at our loading on our body, increase the loading we're putting on our tendons and joints and muscles when we're out running, but we're able to do it in a safe gym environment. This means that when it translates, when we go out to the running course itself, it means that we're not causing injury. So that's one of the main things that we're looked at. Also, in a good strength and conditioning program, we're also looking at increased strength, which means that when we're out running itself, it means that we're using less, our muscles are getting less fatigued, and therefore we're able to run harder for longer. This is something that's really important, especially when it comes to the marathon distances, half marathon distances. People that find themselves getting fatigued really quickly, especially on hilly courses, longer courses, having this strength base and doing those exercises that we do in strength for endurance classes, good strength for endurance programs, that really helps you towards the end of the marathons and longer races. Something that I cover in my classes, you can see that I'm in the gym here now. We often focus on single leg strength, and it's something that is really important when it comes to running injury prevention. Make sure that both our sides of our body are equal, as often we find that they're not. And the main time we find that is when we come in for the first couple of sessions in the gym, and we find that guys and girls are not really, they've not really done any training on single side stuff. So it's something that we can find imbalances, and we can start to work on them so that when we go back out onto the track, out on running, out on the roads, it means that those imbalances have been addressed. And it's important to touch on that the strength is like an additional part of it. Like you still got to do the work out there. It's not like you're going to become a fantastically fast and fit and strong, better runner just by doing the strength. It's almost like something that needs to be done in addition. So it's always important to remember that, because it does get quite a lot of grief from runners, because they think it's going to take away from one of their sessions. But I think it's important to put it in as an additional, especially to begin with. If somebody's not used to doing the strength and conditioning, we can add it in, say, perhaps once a week as a 30-minute exercise that can be done at home. Things that can be done with single leg rear elevated split squats, one of my favorites. We can do that with the sofa with body weight, say doing 3 sets of 15 reps. That's something that I would prescribe to someone. You can do single leg RDLs, you can do core strengthening. One thing that I often note is the runners have really under-firing glutes, so we can do lots of single leg glute bridges, lots of glute band pull-throughs, these kind of things that sort of fire up the glutes and make sure that our glutes and hamstrings are active throughout the running. So this is something that's really important, and that sort of touches a bit on one of the other points is the increased running economy. Like I see a lot of runners, especially here in Dubai, they put a lot of emphasis on drills, strength exercises, different kind of running drills. That's obviously really good, but one of the other things you can do is incorporate those kind of drills and like the kind of like hip flexor work and hip strength, core strength. You can incorporate that into your strength program. So it's something that really helps. Like when it comes to running, ultimately it's your running economy is going to be like one of your biggest factors into how fast you're going to run. So that your VO2 max, your threshold, that's basically what you're going to be looking at. You can more or less determine somebody's exact paces if you look at those different metrics. So it's something that's really, really important. Something I wanted to definitely touch on in this was just talk about strength for runners, for older runners, especially for those like starting to look towards their 40s and 50s. It's just like really important that those athletes are looking at their strength. You know, you want to make sure that you're doing things like to combat muscle loss, as like it's sort of like the use it or lose it philosophy. Like if you're not going to be able to go, I can't envisage you're going to go and become like a really muscly person in your later ages, but what you want to do is try and preserve the muscle you've got and try and sort of build on it as you go into your older stages. I find a lot of runners who are in their sort of 40s and 50s tend to pick up quite a lot of like silly injuries as they go, especially as sort of injuries. And then once you pick up something, you know, it gets harder to get off the sofa, especially people who aren't regular runners or people want to get into running. And it's, you know, something that is, I think, is really important. Strength. Like I heard a really good thing somebody said, where it was just like your endurance determines like how long you'll live, and your strength determines sort of the quality that you'll live your life. So, you know, if you're really strong throughout, it's also going to improve things out with your running, you know, the way that you're able to sort of interact maybe with your kids, your grandkids and stuff. So that's obviously a benefit out with your running. I wanted to touch on a few different points on in terms of like sessions, what I get my guys to do and what you'd be able to do at home. Like I'd mentioned, I get them to do a lot of single leg strength. I think that is probably one of the most important things, single leg strength and core work. And I would probably say, as like a basic workout, I'd probably say you're going to look at 3 leg exercises, and you're going to maybe look at 1 upper body and then maybe 2 or 3 core exercises. Try and fit that into a half an hour slot. Like all good programs, like running programs, triathlon programs, cycling programs, the simple stuff works. And if you do the simple stuff and repeat it over and over again, that's where the gains come. So I would probably pick, like I would say, like a bodyweight squat, a bodyweight lunge, and that can be like single leg lunge. And then I would pick something like a single leg RDL. So I'd say those are your 3 exercises. I'd say for your upper body exercise, I love prescribing the guys with a press up. It's something that really engages the core and the upper body. And then I would say you want to look at something like a lying leg raise or a hanging leg raise for your core exercise, and then a stability exercise like a plank or a side plank, or you can do a combination of them. And then I would say that you want to stick that as your 5 exercises, for example. This is talking for somebody who's like a really basic introduction to strength. So get those 5 exercises, try and do 3 sets of say 10 to 15 reps of each of the exercises, and then repeat that in that 30-minute slot. For your rest, you want to take anywhere between 45 and 60 seconds, focusing on like the muscular endurance aspect. Now, in terms of the weights, I always say at the start, it's not too important to focus on the weights. You want to focus on just getting the exercises done with correct form. Obviously, you can use YouTube to search what those exercises are and see the correct form in them. And there's plenty of stuff across like Instagram, my Instagram, you know, other people's Instagram about these different type of exercises and how to perform them correctly. So that will sort of hopefully give you some like basics and a basic rundown of a program that you'll be able to do. Obviously, if you wanted something more specific, you'd be able to contact a coach like myself who would be able to program stuff for you and hopefully assess any deficits that you have in your running and then do something about them. So that's you know, really basic overview of strength. I mean, I'm not sure how many people who are listening will be Dubai-based athletes, but I like run a strength program out of the gym here at 7 o'clock on Monday night. But if you're not here, then what you should do is probably look up your local gym, and I'm sure if you type in strength for endurance athletes, there'll be someone in your local area who's running the same thing, so you'll want to look it up. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that, and I'll see you on the next one.